So I don't want to make this video long. I've tried making this video at least a few times, and I just want to try to get my thoughts together and do this video as quickly as I can. So I will say I wasn't really going to do a review for season 3 of Bridgerton because honestly, I'm kind of done with the show. I'll just say that. I'm kind of done with the show. I don't really care to watch any more seasons. So I will go with the first thing of, I will say I read the Bridgerton series years ago before it got super popular. I read the series. I wasn't really a big fan of it. I'll just say that. It wasn't. I had how many Julia Quinn books, and I will say after I've kind of gotten rid of how many books off my shelves, over time you kind of get rid of them. Those are the ones that I was I don't need to keep those because I just didn't care to reread them. Just wasn't really a fan of them. So when I saw that they were making a series, I was like, well, maybe I'll delve back into them and reread them and see, how it is. Nah, I was like, nah, I don't care. I decided against it. So I will say the first season, when they were talking about adding in some changes, I was like, oh yes, we all know what happens when you add in changes. They fuck things up. I'll just say that. They fuck shit up. So when I saw that they were, race swapping, characters, I was like, oh, okay, so they really just don't give a shit at this point, with keeping to the original IP. They're basically just loosely adapting, at this point. And that's basically what it is. When you have a company that's like, oh, we're going to go and we're going to create this story. But if you don't stick to the original IP, the original source material, what's the point of calling it that name? I've had this happen to me before. I really liked this book series, or this book, I don't know, is it a series? But I really liked this book when I was a teenager called Blood and Chocolate. And it was a YA a book that had this teenage girl named Vivian. And so she was kind of in a middle thing of whether or not she wanted to embrace her human side and be around humans, or she wanted to embrace her wolf side and her wolf pact, and so I really enjoyed that book when I read it when I was a teenager, but when they decided to make the movie, they completely butchered the source material. They did not stick to the original source material. They aged up the characters. They went and killed off one of the characters that was in the book that served a major purpose in Vivian's story toward the end of the book. They killed off his character. And I was like, you're idiots. You're fucking idiots. You completely butchered that story. That's an insult to that author, the way you completely just destroyed her story in order to make this shitty ass movie. So yeah, I was not a fan of that. And so I was like, okay, F this. So I've been seeing all these remakes and reimaginings and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, I don't care. I would rather just stick to the original source material and just enjoy that. And I don't give a crap, about the new stuff that they do. Same thing with all the Disney remakes and all that stuff, because Disney has no ideas anymore. They've already destroyed Star Wars. I don't watch Star Wars anymore. They have ruined that. I don't watch any more of the live actions because I don't care. I don't care. So I just think of it as, they go and you add in, you race swap characters, you gender swap characters, you add in these characters are gay and bi and all this other stuff. It's lazy representation. That's what it is. It's, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to call it a day. So that's how I feel about that. It's lazy representation. They suck. So when I watched the first season of Bridgerton, I will say I thought it was probably the closest to the books as we're going to get when it came to the first season. I liked the first season. The thing I didn't like about it, you know, when I look back at it and I kind of like rewatch the series, I didn't like all the sex scenes in it. I will just say, as a romance reader, I like sex on page. That's what I enjoy. But I don't really like it when you transfer it over to like video format, you know. I'm not a big fan, you know, especially like some of the actors look like they're kind of like uncomfortable in these situations. And I just personally, I don't think actors need to do that in order to tell a story. They don't need to get naked. They don't need to expose themselves to the whole world, you know. And then people like will bash their bodies or whatever it is, you know. People are very judgmental, and so I'm like, actors really don't need to do that. You can go in, there are ways to have titillation and sexuality and, you know, scenes that are like romantic without it being like gratuitous, you know, and show like the whole body. There are ways around it. I've seen romances where they didn't get the characters naked and there was a way of like showing the story without, you know, having them get naked. Like one of my favorite romances of all time, you know, that I watch every year is While You Were Sleeping. Did Sandra Bullock get naked? No, she did not. There was a way to tell that story without her getting naked. She's never, I don't think I've ever seen her naked in a movie. And respect to her. Same thing with Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts has never done like, you know, a nude scene. And she's already had that in her contracts. And people want to talk shit to her for not doing nude scenes. She respects herself. You know, that stuff gets flashed all over the internet. Now you have your boobies all over the internet on porn sites and all this other stuff. And I'm like, it's a way for people to treat you derogatory, you know, to treat you like an object and not a person. And it's just, there are ways around that. You don't need to get nude. You don't need to get nude. You know, and honestly, if I was an actor, I'd be like, nope. You know, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. So for me, I just think of it as, that's lazy. It's a way of like, when they do stuff like that, it's a way of like, it's used as like a shock factor. Like, oh, let's shock the audience. And it's like, I've seen so much peen and boobs and all that stuff. I've seen so much of it that I'm like, I'm desensitized by it. I don't care. I'm like, whatever. And I kind of skip through that whole scene because I don't give a shit, you know? So people can call me prude or whatever it is. I have been on this planet for, you know, it'll be 45 years soon. 45 years. And I've seen so many of other people's bodies that I'm like, I just don't care anymore. There are ways that you could do a story without adding that in. So I will say, like, for the first season, I didn't, after I watched the whole, you know, series, I'm like, they could have did without the whole, them constantly banging it out. You know, I would just will say, the constant banging out. So yeah, that I didn't like on the first season, but it was as close to the books as we're gonna get. The second season, when they race swapped Kate and had it the Indian actress, I think the Indian actress is very beautiful woman. So I was like, okay, you know, we'll see what happens. So when I watched that second season, I will say, like, I liked their story, but the thing that really, you know, kind of like I didn't care for is that they made Kate more of a villain character. They made her like her and her sister and turned it into a love triangle. And I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we making it to where Kate and her sister now have to vie for the same fucking dude? That was just stupid. It was dumb storyline, and I didn't like what they did. They did Kate dirty. And I did not like that, especially because I'm like, I like the actress. I think she's a very pretty actress, and I thought her and that actor, I can't remember his name Jonathan or something like that, but you know, character of Anthony, I thought they worked well together. You know, they did work well to their chemistry, I could see. And it shows that he's actually a good actor, because, I mean, that actor in real life is gay. So, I mean, you know, he played a straight character and he did a really good role in there. You know, I thought he did really well. He's a great actor, you know. So for me, I was like, season 2, I didn't like that whole, you know, making the sisters, you know, fight over the same dude. And I was like, I hate that type of storyline. It's so weak when you do that. It just really, it's an insult to women. It makes us look really stupid and shallow, you know. And I know there's women out there in the world who do that. You know, there's also women out there in the world who, they openly will take another woman's man. And I'm like, you know, I don't like that either, because women constantly are eating away at other women. We constantly go at each other, and I'm like, why? So that, to me, for that storyline, didn't care for it. Didn't like it. So I didn't care for that. But I still, for the most part, enjoyed the second season, even though it was less, I less enjoyed it than the first season. Now we come to the third season. I will say the things I liked about the third season. I liked the little storyline with Violet and Lady Danbury's brother. I don't remember his name, but I will say, like, Lady Danbury's brother. I liked that plot point right there with that storyline. I thought it was very sweet, because, you know, she lost her husband years ago, even though she still loves her husband. But it's like, people can go and move on and find someone else in their life, and be happy too. You know, find companionship and all that stuff. And you could see, like, the sexual tension with those characters. You know, that actress who plays the role of Violet did really well with interacting with the black actor there. I don't remember his name. Again, you know, I'd have to, like, look this stuff up, and I'm kind of going off the cuff right now. So I really liked that, you know, back and forth with them too. I thought it was really nice. The other thing I liked was, I love Lady Danbury. I'll say, like, when they did the race swapping for Lady Danbury, I like that actress. I think she's a really good actress. I do like her for the role of Lady Danbury. And I will say, like, Queen Charlotte was not in the Bridgerton series. I don't remember a Queen Charlotte in there. But they do have her for the series. And so I'm like, I like that actress who plays Queen Charlotte. So, I mean, I can be okay with, like, a race swap for a fictional story if, you know, if it's done well. You know, I could be okay with it. So for me, I was like, I actually like those actresses that are playing the roles for Lady Danbury and Queen Charlotte. I mean, I think they're good. You know, I think they're good actors, and I was okay with that. So the storyline of, like, Lady Danbury, kind of like having this relationship with her brother that was a bit, like, on the rocks, you know, and so him talking to her and them kind of, like, hashing out their relationship and making it to where, you know, brother and sister kind of have a little bit more of a bond again. And I thought that was really sweet, the way they did that. I'd say the storylines that I really didn't care for in the third season is, I hated that they made the whole focal point of the fucking season is for Colin and Penelope to have their happily ever after. I really didn't feel like this was their season. You know, I really didn't feel that with them. For the fact that I felt like they were on the back burner, you know, of this season. And I'm like, why? Why did you do that? The whole focus of this series is the Bridgerton siblings finding love. So I didn't like that they made Penelope and Colin secondary fucking characters in their own goddamn season. That was fucked up. Then you go and you keep on with the same storyline of this black family, who were, the one guy who owns like this nightclub or whatever it is, and the one son they have inherited the title from this aunt, from this distant aunt, and now they have like money now, and so now they have a title. Their son has a title. So I'm like, I thought that was cute, but also it's like it took away from the whole storyline of Penelope and Colin. I'm like, what was the purpose of having these characters in this series if they're going to overshadow the whole point of the fucking series? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you having so many other plot points going on in the season? Especially because there's like, what, only 8 or 9 episodes? You're going to go and tell this romance between 8 or 9 episodes, and then you have all these other fucking secondary characters that are taking away from the original fucking story. So it's just stupid. It was dumb. I thought they could have taken those characters and created like a spin-off and focused on those characters in the spin-off. That would have made more sense to me, than what they do for the Bridgertons, So I didn't like that storyline. Then we had the fucking whole storyline and love story with Francesca and John Sterling. I loved how, she met John and they're both like these awkward introverts. I loved that part to it. And I was like, oh, they're really shy with each other. And that's really cute because introverts can find love with another introvert. Or sometimes you get involved with an extrovert and the extrovert can kind of like push you outside your comfort zone a little bit and have it where you do a little more exposure therapy, that type of thing. And so I liked that, she found another introvert, another person who was kind of like an awkward weirdo, as we all tend to be when we're introverts. So I liked that whole storyline. But the thing that really just crushed it for me is that at the end, her and John Sterling get married. She kisses him, and then she's like, "Oh, like it looks like she didn't like the kiss." And I was like, "What was the freaking purpose of them having a whole fucking plot point in the story, and then you get to the end, and she doesn't like him?" What? That whole fucking book, When He Was Wicked, was about how Francesca loved her husband. She loved John. She was pregnant with this child when he unexpectedly died. And she lost her child. She had a miscarriage. Why the fuck would you create that whole storyline in the 3rd season and then abruptly change it at the end? That's fucked up. That is fucked up. I did not like that. And then they go in there like insinuating that Francesca is gay, that she's a lesbian, And I'm like, if you wanted to change it so much, why not have just had it to where she meets this woman at the beginning of the whole season, and then she's attracted to a woman instead of attracted to a man? Why not just have it at the beginning that she's attracted to a woman? That way people know at the beginning you changed up the whole thing. It's like you basically bamboozled these people. You basically went and led these people on and pulled the rug from under these people who love this book series. Again, wasn't really a fan of the book series. So I thought that was really shady and fucked up that they decided to do that to the Bridgerton fans, to the original Bridgerton fans of the books, that they decided to do that. And now you have it to where these book Bridgerton fans and the ones who like the TV series are constantly at each other. That's fucked up. That is not the way you go about it. That's how you lose an audience. That's how you lose an audience, Netflix. That's how you lose an audience, Shondaland. That's how you lose it. That's how you screw the pooch. When you go and you now have it to where these fans now turning into the Star Wars fans. So we got these people who are the Star Wars stans who are all about like, oh, I love the new series. Bullshit. I call bullshit. That are all about like all the new shit. And then you got the OG fans like myself who don't like the direction of how they did it with Star Wars. So that's why I'm done. I'm not watching any more Star Wars stuff. Nothing. Unless Disney decides to sell that IP to someone else who actually knows what the fuck they're doing, I'm not watching any more Star Wars. So it's the same thing with this. You have now changed the story so drastically that you made Francesca gay, and then you decided to not only race swap, which I'm like I said, I was okay with some of the other actors being race swap the character and make it to where it's a woman. And then they gender swap. I think the gender swap was more insulting than the race swap, honestly. Because they already did race swapping at the beginning. So I just didn't like how they made it to where, no, now she's attracted to Michaela. When in the whole fucking book, again, didn't care for the series, when the whole fucking book had it to where Michael was the one who was smitten with Francesca for years. And then when his cousin, John Sterling, died, Michael Sterling became the new Lord Kilmartin. Because that's what happens when one dies in the fucking lineage, the other person takes over the goddamn title. So I did not like that. That was like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? I saw that. I already heard spoilers. So when I delved into that episode, I was like, okay. Okay. Yeah. That's dumb. That is dumb. Then, the other thing. They don't know what the F they're doing when it comes to the character of Benedict. Okay? Was it book 3? Book 3. Benedict. I would say years ago, that was probably my favorite Bridgerton. That was the one I kept out of all the Bridgerton books, was that one, because it was like a Cinderella retelling kind of thing, where he goes and meets Sophia at a ball. She goes off. He doesn't know who she is, and then he sees her like years later, and he's still like smitten with her, right? So I reread that book, and I honestly will say, Benedict is my least favorite brother out of all of the brothers in that series. Benedict is my least favorite. He's an asshole. He's a major asshole. Sophie in the books was a bibelo. She was illegitimate. So her father, who had a title, did not want to recognize her as as one of his family members. So she had to go and live with other people, or no, what it was is she worked in the household or something like that. Is that what it was? I think that's what it was. I think she worked in the household as like a maid or something. The father didn't want to recognize the daughter, but recognized his other child. And then I think that's what it was. It's been a while since I've seen it. But I know she had a stepmother and she had like a stepsister or a sister or something like that. And they changed that whole thing around. And now they have it to where Benedict, who somebody had said like, oh, he's queer coded. I don't know. I didn't read that in the books. When I read the book, I didn't feel like he was bisexual or anything like that. I did not feel that at all. So that's other people's interpretations. They could take it as they want, whatever. But for me, I'm like, I did not feel that. I didn't feel that in there. So I don't know. But for me, the thing I didn't like about Benedict was he knows at this point in the book, he knows Sophie is a bibelo. She does not want to have illegitimate children. She does not want to go and have her children suffer what she suffered growing up, being an illegitimate bastard, basically. So what does he want to do? Make her his mistress. Fuck you, dude. Oh my God. When I reread that book, I was like, I did not notice this. Where I was like, this guy is a major asshole. So the whole series of, the TV series, they're basically making like Benedict like bisexual. Even the first season had it to where he was like, had like this relationship with another man, even though I don't think that one was sexual, but it kind of made it to where you could tell, like, you know, you could tell, like, okay, he obviously isn't just straight, you know, he obviously is attracted to men too. And I was like, okay, why did you do that? Whatever. So I kept going with the show. And then now they have it to where the third season, him still, like, you know, going through his whole discovering his sexuality kind of thing. And he is not doing art. And I'm like, but that was the whole fucking purpose. That was the whole purpose of, like, the fucking third book, is that he was like a starving artist. He loved art, you know? And the thing with artists is we can be more, we can be more attracted to bodies. Like for me, I would consider myself to be straight, you know, I consider myself to be straight. But I can look at a woman's body through an artistic lens, which I have, through my artistic lens, and I can look at a woman's body and I can think she's has a very attractive body. But I don't want to be involved with her sexually. There's a difference, you know? I could be attracted to people's bodies and have them be the same sex as me and be okay with that, you know? Like I used to, at one time, collect naked photos of women, you know, and men, but, you know, and women too, because I had that artistic eye, and I would look at this person's body and, like, how would I draw that person's body? You know, how would I do that? So, I mean, I could look at Benedict like, well, he may go and look at a man's body and see artistically that way, you know, but they made his character like bisexual. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then they go and they have it for the third season where he's questioning himself. And I'm like, but wasn't he questioning himself in the first season? That made no sense to me. How it's like all of a sudden they like make him question again. And it's like, but he was already kind of like questioning himself and was okay with himself like in the first season. So why for the third? It made no sense. Almost like these writers totally forgot what the fuck they wrote in the first season. So they go and they have him have a sexual relationship with this widow and her lover. And I was like, why? Why did we need this? And there were how many people I saw that they were like, who skipped over the Benedict scenes? And I'm like, honestly, I did, when it came to like her and Benedict and that dude having like a threesome toward the end of like the third season. I skipped over. Like I was watching it on my tablet and I was like, skip, 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 till I got to like something else, because I'm like, I don't care about this. Why is this here? This is so unnecessary. So unnecessary for the storyline. What's the fucking point of this? Especially because it's like the third book, when they finally come around to actually putting Benedict with someone else, the third book, he was with a woman. And so another person who I follow, she had said, like, she kind of feels like they're going to make Sophia transgender, you know, make her a trans woman. And I'm like, doesn't shock me at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if they do that. But I will say, like, the Francesca and John Sterling storyline, absolutely hated that. Toward the end, I hated it. They totally ruined that whole relationship. And then the whole Benedict bisexual storyline just made no sense to me. So I really just don't like how it seems like every season it's kind of gone down and down and down to me. And like I said, I'll repeat myself. I was not a fan of the book series. You know, the only book I kept was the third one, and then I ended up just donating that one after I read it like a second or third time. I realized, like, Benedict's a dick, you know, he is a major dick. So I really don't like his character. And I'd say I'd say it's an insult to the actor, because they're not really giving him much to work with for this TV show. You know, he has this whole arc of like, he's a funny dude. He's funny. He's constantly cracking jokes. He has a really good relationship with his sister, Eloise. And that was the thing with Eloise. It's like, why did they make her such a weak character in this 3rd season? I loved Eloise. Eloise is probably my favorite character out of the whole series besides Penelope. I love Penelope too. And so they made like Eloise such a weak character to where she started hanging out with Cressida. And I'm like, why are they having Eleanor hanging around with the fucking mean girl? It just made no sense to me. And I was like, come on, Eloise, what the fuck? Yeah, I did not like that either. I'd say my favorite characters out of the show and out of the books is I liked Eloise. Always liked Eloise. And I'd say if you wanted to go and make a character gay, Eloise definitely has more of that, you know, she has more of the lesbian vibes to me because she just the way she is, where she doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to, you know, she kind of like wants to do her own thing. And I'm like, why didn't they just make Eloise gay, you know, and let her have some kind of little, you know, flirtation during the season, you know, to get to, you know, her season, you know? Why didn't they just do that? That would have made more sense to me if they would have made Eloise either bisexual or gay, you know, like maybe she's not attracted to men, you know? So I'm like, why didn't you just do that? You go and you take a character, Francesca, and you turn her, what they say, queer, which I'm not a huge fan of that term. I don't really like it, even though if other people want to use it, that's your own prerogative. But I don't particularly like it. I'm old school when it comes to, you know, I've been around the old school gays, and they just, you know, old school gays don't really like that term, you know. So out of respect, I don't like to use it. I personally don't like to use it. So for me, I was like, why? Why did you go and have it to where you made Eleanor such a weak character for this 3rd season? And then you don't, like, if you're going to change things around, just make her a lesbian. It didn't make any sense to me. It really didn't. And I was like, they really screwed themselves. The writers really screwed themselves this 3rd season because it's honestly just, it got worse. It just honestly got worse as the series has progressed. And it's my least favorite. Like at the beginning, I did a Threads thing where I'm like, oh man, if they keep going the way they're going with this show, this will probably be my favorite season out of all of them because of, you know, Penelope and Colin. And then all of a sudden it's like the second half just did a total 180 or whatever it is, you know, 180, 160, whatever it is, did a whole 180. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, I was just so turned off about this whole series when it got to the second part. And I was like, you guys really fucked up. You guys really fucked up. And honestly, I'm done. I'm done with the series. I don't want to watch anymore. I'm tired of hearing the name Bridgerton. I honestly had to mute it on my Threads so I can stop hearing about it because I'm tired of people going back and forth and fighting with each other. And then us, the original, like I'd say, not even me, I wouldn't put myself in the category of like an OG fan because like I said, again, I wasn't a fan of the Bridgerton series. But you're going to insult the original fan base and call them homophobic? Seriously? You're going to call the original fan base homophobic because you don't like what these people are saying? Fuck you. That is such a fucking insult. It's such an insult to go and call the OG people who have loved that series, loved the book series for fucking years. And you're going to go call them homophobic or whatever else you want to call them? No. No. So I will stand with the OG fans and say, fuck you. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to watch any more of this show. If other people want to go and continue to watch the show, that is their choice. You know, if you enjoy the series, you didn't care for the books and you enjoy the series and you like the way the series is progressing, have at it, enjoy it. But I'm pretty much done. I'm done. I don't like seeing this divide in the book space where you have these people fighting against each other. It's just totally ridiculous. And it's all based on the showrunners. You guys did this. You created this division. You created this toxicity. You did that. Same thing with Star Wars. Disney was the one that created that divide. They're the ones who are at fault for the way the series has progressed. Disney is at fault. So, for me, no. I'm tired of this. I'm really just at the point where I'm like, nah, I really don't want to watch any adaptions at this point. Anything where it's like they're taking something and they're adapting it into a movie, I don't really want to watch that. Because what are they going to do to fuck it up? To fuck it up and not stick to the original source material. That's the biggest thing. People want the original source material. They want to see it from book to screen. That's what they want to see. So I don't blame the fans for being mad. I don't blame them for being mad. What I want to see with, when it comes to gay love stories, gay men, lesbians, bisexuality, pansexuality, whatever you want to call yourself, trans, I want to see original source material. That's what I want to see. I want to see original source material. It is an insult to do lazy representation for these communities. To do lazy representation for transgender people, transgender individuals, to do lazy representation when it comes to lesbian stories, when it comes to gay male stories, when it comes to bisexuality. It's lazy. It is an insult to those communities. So for me, I want to see original stuff. Like, I would love if they went and adapted some Beverly Jenkins books and turned them into movies like Indigo. I would love to see that. If they went and they went and made a movie out of that. But did it right? Not insult the author by doing some stupid shit for it. Do the fucking story as it's written. Stick to the original source material. Do not insult these people. Don't insult, the author who has done her work to create this story, this beautiful story. When it comes to Indigo, it was a very heartbreaking story to see a former slave, who is freed now because she got away from that. She was, she escaped and created a new life for herself, but has to carry the history of what happened to her with her hands, with her indigo hands. And she gets together with a man and they have their love story. I would love to see Indigo adapted into that. I don't know how much they changed with the original, like The Color Purple, with that book. I have to read the book. I still need to read the book. But I watched the movie that had Whoopi Goldberg in it, the original one. The one that was directed by Steven Spielberg. I love that movie. That movie was beautiful. It made me cry. Every time I watch it, I always cry. They did a friggin' remake for it. Didn't watch it because I hate remakes. I'm so tired of remakes. So I didn't watch it. I didn't bother. I don't care. I like the original. The one with Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, Danny Glover, just great, phenomenal actors that did a really good role. And no offense to the actors and actresses that were in the remake of the film. I'm sure they probably did a really good job because I like those actors too. I'm so tired of remakes. I'm tired of reimaginings, remakes. Create original source material and stick with it, you know? I've watched original shows with like gay characters and lesbian characters. Like I've watched the show The L Word. I really liked that show, and that was filled with a whole bunch of like women who were women loving women storylines, and I liked that show. I thought it was an interesting show. I used to watch it on Showtime. Same thing with like, I think it was called Queer as Folk. I liked that series too. And you had these actors playing gay, you know, gay men. I don't think all of the actors were gay, but you know, he had gay men in these storylines, and I'm like, I liked that series too back in the day. And I've watched at least a couple of movies where you had these males playing trans characters, or no, a few movies I've watched. You know, Dallas Buyers Club, Jared Leto played a trans woman, you know, or at least, I don't think he was a drag queen. No, he was definitely more trans. And the character ended up developing, or, you know, contracting AIDS, because this was back in the 80s and all that stuff, when it was very rampant at that point. And that was a really good movie. That was sad. Then you had this other movie that was called, what was it called again? A Soldier's Love? Was it? It was a Showtime movie that had Lee Pace in it, and Lee Pace played a trans woman. That was a good movie. It was so sad, though. It was so sad. But it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed that one. And then another movie that had, you know, played, or was a trans character, was this movie called Different for Girls. And the actor, I think his name was Stephen McIntosh, played the role of a trans woman. And that was really good. That was a really good story. That was like, I think it was made in Europe. I think it was a European movie. And that one was done really well. And I was like, why don't you just create more stories like that? Create more original storylines. There are historical novels out there that have gay characters. There was that one that Alexis Hall did that was, I can't remember the name, but I'll put it right here. But that was a trans woman in historical times, you know? I mean, you would have, like, there used to be cross-dressing and things like that that happened during those times, in historical times. There were such things as that. I mean, shit, you know, like, back in Shakespearean time, they had the male actors playing the women's parts because women weren't allowed on stage. So, I mean, you had that too. So, I mean, there are things that you can do to create original storylines that have trans individuals, that have, you know, gay couples, gay men, lesbian women, bisexuality. There was that one called, I think it was called Trans America or something like that, that had, I don't remember the freaking actress's name, and she was playing like a trans woman or something like that. And I'm like, why not just create original freaking stuff, you know? I mean, I've seen how many things where it's like gay characters, trans characters, bisexuality. I've seen this stuff, so I'm like, to me, it's, I hate the lazy representation where it's like you're barely doing anything. Let's just go and create these characters. Oh, let's switch their gender. Oh, let's go and switch their race and call it a day. And it's like, no, that's an insult. It is very much an insult, and it just really pisses me off because I'm like, why? Why did you do that? You know, like, what's that movie? God, I can't remember. Anyways, I'm not gonna post it, but just, you know, you have like original characters, and these movies got really popular. You know, like this was a really popular movie because this was original character that was a black character, you know. Same thing with like the Blade series. The Blade series, he's a black vampire. How many freaking black vampires do you see now? I only really know of Blade. How many other ones do you see out there? They could so create more characters that are like, no, and then they want to do a reboot of Blade. No! You know, just come up with these original storylines. I would love to see more black, black and brown like vampires. It's like, they weren't all just white, if we're going to create like these storylines of vampires and monsters and different things like that, it makes sense that they would be other colors, right? Other races, it makes sense. So for me, it's like this whole thing is just ridiculous. So yeah, for me, I'm done. I'm done with the show. I wasn't really a huge fan of the original book series anyway, so it's no hardship for me to just say, yeah, I'm done. I don't need to keep watching. They've changed things so much that I just don't care, And like I said, it's the lazy representation more than anything that really pisses me off. More than like what they've done to the storylines. It's the lazy representation. And it's like, if you want to bring these characters to life, if you want to create these characters, create gay characters and lesbian characters and trans characters, why not find original source material? There's authors out there that do historical novels. Cat Sebastian does several books where it's like gay characters, things like that. There was one book that I recently downloaded at EE something like that. I think it was EE Automan or something like that. I'll put that book up there. That's gay characters. Alexis Hall has done like several books with gay representation, things like that. So I mean, there are authors out there that do books like that, where they create these male love stories, women loving women love stories, and go from there. So it's like, you have the source material. There are people who create these freaking stories. So why not just ask from there, can we go and adapt your book into a movie, into a TV show? Why not do that? Make sense? So yeah, that's pretty much it for this here. I just wanted to go on kind of like a rant and a little ramble of just like my thoughts on like what I thought about the whole series as I've watched it, what I thought about the original, books and all that stuff. And hey, if you love the books and you still enjoy the series, awesome, great, good for you. If you didn't like the books and you like the series, awesome, enjoy it. But for me, I'm pretty much done. I'm done watching it, and I don't like how they've, changed things around so much, when it comes to the storylines, and I don't care for it. I just don't care for it. So I'd rather just, end it and not watch it anymore. It's the same thing with like, when it came to The Witcher. I didn't know anything of The Witcher. I just know based on like, oh, Henry Cavill's in this series that is like a fantasy series. Oh, let me check it out. So I watched the first season, and it was kind of weird. I was like, oh, this is kind of weird, but I'm like, I still like it. And then when I found out that Henry Cavill was pretty much not going to be doing the show anymore, I just was like, no, I'm done. And I didn't bother watching like season 2? I didn't bother watching season 2 or 3. I think I might have watched 2 seasons, but I didn't bother watching like season 3, because I was like, nah, it's getting kind of too weird, and I don't really care for it. And then Henry Cavill's like, they're not even sticking to the original source material, and I'm like, okay, I could see him getting mad because of that, and that's why he left the series. So I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty much done. I'm pretty much done, where I'm like, if I don't like something, I don't like the way it's progressing, I'm just gonna opt out. I'm gonna opt out. Anybody wants to watch it and they want to keep enjoying it, fine, good for you, enjoy yourself. But for me, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna watch something else. Like currently I'm watching, I'm almost done. I'm currently watching Fallout. I really like that show. I really like it. I don't know if it's like 100% true to the original source material. Like I think it's based on a video game. I'm not gonna play the video game, But for me, I'm like, I enjoy it. If it's not close to the source material, okay, that kind of sucks for the original people who liked the video games. But I mean, it's gotten good reviews, so I'm assuming like a lot of the people who have played the Fallout games, or Fallout game, I don't know how many games there were, enjoy the show, And if that's good, awesome, because I love Walton Goggins. favorite freaking actor out there. He's my favorite actor. I love him in Fallout. I'm watching like The Righteous Gemstones. He's hilarious in there as Uncle Baby Billy. You know, I love him in there. Hilarious. And then I also am watching Vice Principals, where he's in there, and he's freaking hilarious in that. The next show I need to check out is Justified, because I never really got into that show, but now I want to watch it because I'm like, I know he was in there, and I love Walton Goggins. He's probably like my favorite actor. I loved him in The Hateful Eight. I mean, all these different, like American, what was it called again? American Ultra or something like that. I love that movie. That movie was good. It was very underrated. I don't think people like that one, but I enjoyed it because I loved his character in there. He played a freaking psycho, and he was just so great, so great. I love Walton Goggins, favorite actor. But yeah, that's it for this one here. Let me know what you think about the, about the Bridgerton series. I've seen some other people like say that they like the show, but there are things that they didn't like about, like this season here. And then there's other people say they liked the show. They weren't really a fan of the book series. So yeah, do you like the series? What do you like about it? That type of thing. Let me know down below. If you don't like the series, are you going to continue watching it? Are you going to watch season 4 and go from there? But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourself. Be kind to each other. And I will see you all on the next video. And I was not expecting this video to be that long. So, bye.